Have you ever wondered why some women seem to float through life like independent islands, maintaining a careful distance even from their own families? What drives these enigmatic personalities to choose solitude over the warmth of close family bonds? And what if understanding their mysterious approach could lead to more empathetic and aware relationships for everyone involved? I'm your host, Alfred, and for today's video, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of Sigma females and uncovering the real reasons behind their unique approach to family relationships. Let's start with the basics. A Sigma female isn't your typical extrovert who thrives in social situations, nor is she the shy introvert hiding in the corner. She's something entirely different, a rare breed that marches to the beat of her own drum. The Sigma female values independence above almost everything else. She's self-reliant, introspective, and fiercely protective of her personal space and mental energy. Unlike alpha females who seek leadership roles or beta females who prefer supportive positions, Sigma females operate outside traditional social hierarchies altogether. This mindset significantly impacts how they approach all relationships, but family relationships present unique challenges. While friends can be chosen and romantic partners can be selected based on compatibility, family members are assigned by birth. This lack of choice can feel suffocating to someone who values autonomy as much as a Sigma female does. The Sigma female's approach to life is methodical and purposeful. She doesn't make decisions based on emotions or social expectations. Instead, she evaluates what serves her growth, peace, and long-term goals. This analytical approach extends to family relationships where she might maintain distance, not out of malice, but out of self-preservation and personal development priorities. Emotional independence is the cornerstone of a Sigma female's personality. She's learned often through experience that relying too heavily on others for emotional support can lead to disappointment and vulnerability. This doesn't mean she's cold or heartless, quite the opposite. She feels deeply but has developed sophisticated coping mechanisms that don't require constant external validation or support. This emotional self-sufficiency often develops early in life. Many Sigma females have experienced situations where they had to mature quickly, perhaps due to family dynamics, personal challenges, or simply their natural temperament. They've learned that they can trust themselves to handle whatever life throws their way. When it comes to family relationships, this independence can create friction. Family members might interpret her self-reliance as rejection or indifference. They might feel shut out when she doesn't share her struggles or seek their advice. However, for the Sigma female, this behavior isn't about pushing people away. It's about maintaining her sense of self and personal power. The Sigma female has often witnessed or experienced the negative effects of emotional dependency. She's seen how needing others too much can lead to manipulation, control, or disappointment. As a result, she's chosen a different path, one where she remains emotionally stable regardless of external circumstances. Boundaries aren't just preferences for Sigma females, they're essential survival tools. These women have typically learned through experience that without clear boundaries, their energy gets drained, their goals get derailed, and their peace gets disrupted. Family relationships can be particularly challenging when it comes to boundaries because families often operate on assumptions of unconditional access and involvement. There's an unspoken expectation that family members should be available for each other, should share personal information freely, and should prioritize family needs over individual needs. For a Sigma female, these expectations can feel overwhelming and invasive. She needs time alone to recharge, space to think, and freedom to make decisions without constant input or judgment from others. When family members don't respect these needs, she may increase her distance as a protective measure. Setting boundaries with family can be especially difficult because it often goes against cultural or societal norms. Many cultures emphasize family loyalty and togetherness above individual needs. The Sigma female who prioritizes her own well-being might be labeled as selfish or ungrateful, which can create additional stress and reinforce her decision to maintain distance. The key thing to understand is that these boundaries aren't meant to hurt anyone. They're meant to protect the Sigma female's mental health and ensure she can show up as her best self when she does engage with others. Sigma females are incredibly aware of their energy levels and what drains or replenishes them. They've learned that certain interactions, even with loved ones, can be energetically expensive. Family gatherings, emotional conversations, and constant communication demands can leave them feeling depleted for days. This isn't about being antisocial or uncaring. It's about recognizing that everyone has different energy capacities and requirements. Just like some people need 8 hours of sleep while others function well on 6, some people can handle constant social interaction while others need significant alone time to recharge. Family relationships often involve emotional labor, listening to problems, offering support, mediating conflicts, and maintaining connections. For a Sigma female, this emotional labor can be particularly draining because she tends to absorb and process information deeply. She doesn't just listen, she analyzes, empathizes, and often carries the emotional weight long after the conversation ends. By maintaining some distance, she can manage her energy more effectively. This allows her to be more present and helpful when she does engage, rather than being constantly overwhelmed and potentially resentful. Many Sigma females have learned that saying no to some family obligations allows them to say yes to the ones that truly matter. It's about quality over quantity in relationships. Let's address something that's often underlying but rarely discussed openly: the role of past experiences in shaping current relationship patterns. Many Sigma females have experienced family situations that taught them early on that distance can be protective. This might include growing up in chaotic households, dealing with manipulative family members, experiencing emotional neglect, or witnessing unhealthy relationship patterns. These experiences don't necessarily create Sigma females, but they can reinforce the value of independence and self-reliance. It's important to note that not all Sigma females come from dysfunctional families. Some simply grew up in environments where independence was valued, or they naturally developed self-reliant tendencies that were supported by their families. However, for those who did experience challenging family dynamics, maintaining distance might be a healthy coping strategy. They've learned that involvement in family drama or dysfunction can derail their personal growth and well-being. By keeping some distance, they protect themselves while still maintaining the relationships that are possible and healthy. This doesn't mean they're holding grudges or being unforgiving. Often, they've done significant personal work to understand and process their experiences. The distance they maintain is a conscious choice to prioritize their mental health and continued growth. Sigma females value authenticity above almost everything else in relationships. They'd rather have one genuine connection than 10 superficial ones. This preference for quality over quantity significantly impacts their approach to family relationships. Family relationships can sometimes feel obligatory rather than authentic. There might be expectations to maintain connections simply because of blood relations, even when personalities clash or values don't align. The Sigma female struggles with this concept because she values genuine compatibility and mutual respect in relationships. She's looking for family members who can appreciate her for who she truly is, not who they want her to be. She wants to be able to share her real thoughts and feelings without judgment or attempts to change her. When family relationships don't offer this level of authenticity, she may choose to keep interactions surface level or infrequent. This doesn't mean she doesn't love her family members. She simply recognizes that love doesn't always translate to compatibility or the ability to have close relationships. She may love someone deeply while also acknowledging that spending significant time together isn't beneficial for either party. The Sigma female is willing to accept relationships for what they are, rather than constantly trying to force them into what she thinks they should be. This realistic approach can sometimes look like indifference, but it's actually a form of acceptance and respect for natural relationship dynamics. Sigma females are typically very goal-oriented and focused on personal development. They have clear visions for their lives and are willing to make sacrifices to achieve their objectives. Sometimes this means reducing time and energy spent on family relationships in order to focus on career advancement, education, or personal projects. This prioritization isn't about not caring about family. It's about recognizing that they have limited time and energy, and they need to allocate these resources strategically. They understand that achieving their goals will ultimately benefit everyone in their lives, including family members. Many Sigma females have ambitious career goals or creative pursuits that require significant dedication. They might be building businesses, advancing in competitive fields, or working on artistic projects that demand their full attention. Family obligations can sometimes feel like distractions from these important pursuits. Additionally, Sigma females often feel most fulfilled when they're growing and achieving. Spending too much time on family relationships that don't contribute to their growth can leave them feeling stagnant and frustrated. They need to see progress and movement in their lives, and sometimes family relationships can feel static or even regressive. This doesn't mean they'll never have time for family, but it might mean that family relationships take a back seat during certain phases of their lives when they're pursuing important goals. Sigma females often have unique communication styles that can create misunderstandings in family relationships. They tend to be direct, honest, and prefer meaningful conversations over small talk. This can clash with family members who prefer more casual, frequent communication or who are sensitive to direct feedback. Many families operate on patterns of frequent check-ins, sharing daily details, and maintaining constant connection through calls, texts, or social media. The Sigma female might find this level of communication overwhelming or unnecessary. She prefers to communicate when there's something meaningful to share or discuss. Her direct communication style can also be misinterpreted as coldness or lack of caring. When she gives honest feedback or doesn't sugarcoat her opinions, family members might feel hurt or rejected. However, she sees this directness as respect. She's being authentic rather than fake or manipulative. Sigma females also tend to be better at written communication than spontaneous verbal communication. They like to think through their thoughts before expressing them. This preference for processing time can frustrate family members who want immediate responses or who interpret delayed responses as disinterest. Understanding these communication differences is crucial for maintaining any relationship with a Sigma female. She's not trying to be difficult, she's simply operating according to her natural communication preferences. Society often promotes the idea that family relationships should be maintained regardless of their quality or impact on our well-being. There's a persistent myth that blood relations automatically create obligations that override personal boundaries and choices. Sigma females challenge this notion by prioritizing their own well-being and choosing relationships based on their value rather than obligation. They believe that healthy relationships should be mutually beneficial and freely chosen, even within families. This perspective can be controversial and misunderstood. Family members might feel rejected or unloved when the Sigma female doesn't automatically prioritize family relationships above her own needs. However, she sees this choice-based approach as more honest and ultimately healthier for everyone involved. She recognizes that forced relationships often breed resentment and dysfunction. By choosing which family relationships to invest in and how much energy to give them, she can show up more authentically and positively when she does engage. This approach requires courage because it goes against societal expectations and can result in criticism or guilt from family members. However, Sigma females are typically willing to face this discomfort in order to maintain their integrity and well-being. The pressure to conform to social expectations around family relationships can be particularly intense for women. There are often gendered expectations that women should be the emotional caretakers, the relationship maintainers, and the ones who sacrifice their own needs for family harmony. Sigma females reject these gendered expectations and refuse to play roles that don't align with their authentic selves. They won't pretend to be more emotionally available than they naturally are, and they won't sacrifice their goals and well-being to meet others' expectations of how a daughter, sister, or family member should behave. This rejection of social expectations can create tension and misunderstanding. Family members might interpret her behavior through the lens of traditional gender roles and feel confused or hurt when she doesn't conform to these expectations. The Sigma female has typically spent significant time understanding herself and her needs. She knows what works for her and what doesn't, and she's committed to living authentically rather than performing roles that others expect her to play. This commitment to personal truth over social expectations is both liberating and challenging. It requires constant decisions to prioritize authenticity over approval, which can be emotionally demanding, but ultimately leads to greater self-respect and genuine relationships. Family members don't choose each other, which means personality differences are inevitable. While some families navigate these differences successfully, others struggle with acceptance and understanding. Sigma females, with their unique traits and needs, can sometimes feel like outsiders in their own families. If the majority of family members are more extroverted, emotionally expressive, or socially oriented, the Sigma female might feel constantly pressured to be someone she's not. Family gatherings might feel overwhelming, family communication styles might feel intrusive, and family expectations might feel unreasonable. These personality differences aren't anyone's fault, but they can create natural distance. The Sigma female might find it easier to maintain superficial relationships with family members rather than constantly explaining or defending her personality traits and choices. Sometimes families struggle to understand and accept the Sigma female's need for independence and space. They might interpret her behavior as rejection or dysfunction rather than recognizing it as a valid personality expression. This lack of understanding can create ongoing tension and reinforce your decision to maintain distance. However, when families can learn to appreciate and accommodate personality differences, relationships can improve significantly. Understanding that the Sigma female isn't trying to be difficult or hurtful can open the door to better communication and acceptance. One of the skills that Sigma females often develop is the ability to maintain relationships at a comfortable distance without completely cutting ties. This requires careful navigation and clear communication about boundaries and expectations. This might involve setting specific limits on communication frequency, choosing which family events to attend, or being selective about what personal information to share. The goal is to maintain connection while protecting her well-being and autonomy. Successful distance management often involves honest conversations about needs and expectations. The Sigma female might need to explain her communication preferences, her need for space, and her approach to relationships. While these conversations can be difficult, they can prevent misunderstandings and hurt feelings. She might also need to be firm about her boundaries while remaining kind and respectful. This balance requires practice and can be emotionally challenging, especially when family members don't understand or accept her choices. The key is consistency and authenticity. By being honest about her needs and consistently maintaining her boundaries, she can train family members to expect and respect her approach to relationships. Understanding why Sigma females maintain distance from family relationships isn't about judging their choices or encouraging disconnection. Instead, it's about recognizing that different personality types have different needs, and that healthy relationships require mutual understanding and respect. The Sigma female's approach to family relationships is rooted in self-awareness, boundary setting, and a commitment to authenticity. While this might look cold or selfish to others, it's actually a sophisticated form of self-care that allows her to maintain her well-being while still caring about her family members. For Sigma females watching this, remember that your needs are valid and your choices are yours to make. You don't owe anyone access to your life that compromises your well-being. Creating healthy boundaries with family members is not only acceptable, but often necessary for maintaining your mental health and personal growth. For family members of Sigma females, understanding these motivations can help improve your relationships. Instead of taking her distance personally, try to appreciate her need for space and independence. Respect her communication style and boundaries, and focus on quality interactions rather than quantity. The goal isn't to change the Sigma female or to force closer relationships. Instead, it's to create space for authentic connection that works for everyone involved. Sometimes, a little distance can actually make relationships stronger and more meaningful. Remember that every person is unique, and these patterns might not apply to every Sigma female or every family situation. The key is open communication, mutual respect, and the willingness to understand different perspectives and needs. What matters most is that relationships are healthy, honest, and mutually beneficial, whether they're close or distant, frequent or occasional. Quality will always triumph over quantity when it comes to meaningful human connections. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. I'm your host, Alfred, and I read every comment.